Namaste everyone, this is Pooja and today we are talking about Masters in Health and Rehab Science. Now Masters is something that many people are interested in doing and Bansari here is one of us who is a bachelor's, who holds a bachelor's in physiotherapy from India. She has done it from MS University in Vadodara and currently she's doing a master's course in Western University and that's in London, right? So Bansi was kind enough that on a Sunday, she's decided she'll talk to us about the course. She'll give us a brief idea about, what the course was for her. So Bansi, thank you so much and tell us more about yourself.
Okay. First of all, thank you for collaborating and having me share my experience here. So, as you introduced me well, I'm Bansari Patel and I'm basically from Vadodara, Gujarat. I did my bachelor's in physiotherapy back in 2016. I got graduated in 2020, peak pandemic. And after completing my internship, I applied for a course here. It's a master's course. The name itself is like Masters in Health and Rehab Sciences. It's an umbrella course with different specification. Mine is physical therapy, as you said. Um, yeah, and it's at University of Western Ontario, London. Yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Oh, that's nice to know. So this, for those of you who are watching this, we are planning to make like a series of videos regarding masters. So this one we'll just be talking like in general about the master's course. Then there will be a follow-up regarding the academic requirements and how intensive the master's program actually is. And then the most important thing, we'll be talking about finances, expected expenses, types of scholarships, and details like that. How and why did you choose the master's course? Like usually, I would say 90% of the students go for a postgraduate diploma. So why not
Yeah.
a PG diploma and why a master's?
Mhm.
And explain us.
So, doing masters was actually the first plan. I always thought that now, as I have the bachelor's degree, I don't want to go back. And going back, as in, it's nothing like I don't recommend those courses. It's just it was a personal preference to do masters. It could be either India or Canada. I chose Canada for personal reasons. So yeah, and. Yeah, basically, I was more into orthopedics and geriatric because back home, I've worked with mostly those populations. Even my workplace included the long-term care and the retirement homes back home. So I was pretty cool with the geriatric population and more into musculoskeletal conditions. So I was looking for a course here which could match up my both the interest, and I was looking for universities. Luckily, I applied to two or three of them, and I ended up here in London. So basically, master's was a priority for me, um, and that's how I landed here. And mine is a research-based course, to be more specific. Research was something very unusual for me to choose because I never heard of it, and I never had research background back home as well. Um, like when we were supposed to do some kind of research study, we landed in pandemic and we didn't do anything. So it was a tough decision when I had to decide between a course-based program and a thesis-based program.
Mhm.
So I talked to a few people who did the research-based course, and they said once you step in, you'll be able to do it. So just give it a go. So that was my motto. I'm thankful to all those seniors watching or not watching, but yeah, they said it's a one-time go, just do it. So I landed up here.
So they advise you, even if you don't know how to swim, just fall in the water and you'll figure it
You'll
out.
be able to do it. Yes.
You're not wrong. You figured it out. And yeah, you're right. In India, research, like specifically in physiotherapy, if I talk about, even
Mhm.
we studied biostatistics, we studied research, but we didn't really do research on an intensive basis, not at least in the capacity of a bachelor student,
Yeah.
considering we were doing many other things. And yeah, you're like, I graduated back in 2016, so things were easier for me, I would say. Pandemic bothered a lot of students, and like a lot of them didn't really have the same hands-on experience,
Yeah.
and let alone the research experience, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's quite a daring choice to do, considering masters specifically, like because I've done masters in United States.
Hmm.
My masters was not that difficult. Mine was not a thesis based. Mine was a simple, straightforward master's. But when I see the master's course in, like, again, mine was master's in exercise science. So again, it's not the same. It's not apple and apples. It's apple and oranges for sure. But the course was very easy. But I understand thesis based is a difficult choice. Like, not a difficult choice. It's more of like an academic choice.
Yeah.
I'm more of an hands-on person, and as you said, most of us are, like, physiotherapists will have interest in orthopedics for sure, and we'll have more hands-on people, right? Academics is very few of us have that as a forte. So
Yes.
I'm glad you chose that. So tell us a little bit more about your master's course. You said it's a bit of a specialty, like physical
Mhm.
therapy is part of the health and rehab science
Yeah.
master's. So what is that about? Tell us more.
Yeah, so basically, MSc Health and Rehab Science falls under the Faculty of Health Sciences at Western University. It depends on university to university, but for me, it's a Faculty of Health Sciences. Then there's this MSc course, Health and Rehab Science, and basically, it's an umbrella-like course because it has different specifications. One of them is physical therapy. Then there's occupational sciences, health and science information, speech language sciences, measurements and methods, aging. So yeah, different specifications, and students from different background apply for it based on their bachelor's or undergrad from their home country, or even the Canadians apply for it. So yeah, it's an umbrella course and you have to choose your specification. And then in that specification, then you have two other subdivisions. Like you can either opt for a course-based program or the thesis-based program. Um, like both the programs are 2 years of I would say they are in 2 years total, like and then you can divide it into a full-time course or a part-time course.
Okay.
So if you are doing a full-time course, you have to complete everything within a span of 24 months, that is 2 years. But if you are doing it on part-time basis, then you get a little bit of more of a timeline to complete it because you are a part-time student. To be honest, I have no much information about the part-time thing because I didn't opt for it.
Yeah.
But I can explain you more about the
Full-time.
full-time part and the course requirements and everything.
Sure. So yeah, let's just quickly go over it, like because from what I understand, like applying for a master's and mostly even applying for a PhD, it's pretty similar. You have to find someone who, if you are specifically doing a thesis based, someone who is going to supervise you, because you need that match before you even start applying. So yeah, just let's get into a gist of it. How was that for you? How was that?
Yeah, so I talked to one of my seniors and they suggested me like how you follow the timeline should be. You give your IELTS exam, get your scores done, and then you look for a supervisor. So how to look for a supervisor is you go to a specific website for the university you want to apply, and then you choose your specification. For me, it was like health and rehab science under physical therapy. I chose like I open that web page, then you can go for supervisors. And there you can go in their LinkedIn profiles or Google Scholars, and you can check their research articles. So I personally recommend that it should always align with your personal interests. Like if I'm more into musculoskeletal science, but if I opt for a supervisor who is into neurosciences, it's not going to make any sense. And you might not enjoy your master's process if you don't align with the research interests. So what I did was I went through 15 to 16 professors. I looked at their profiles, their backgrounds, and their research articles from last 5 to 10 years. And based on that, I just shortlisted 2 professors. I'm not being choosy, but I said that mine is geriatric and musculoskeletal. So I wanted to do something within aging and orthopedics. I was lucky enough to get one of the professors. So how to approach them? What I did is they always provide you with their email IDs. And sometimes they also specify if certain professor is looking for an MSc trainee or a PhD trainee or both or none. So you can find out from that as well, or you can first time approach them, saying that I'm XYZ student, I'm trying to apply, and I'm just trying to know, like, are you up for a trainee? Because there are certain new professors adding to the university every year, and they might not take a trainee because they might not have certain amount of fundings, or it might be a new experience for them as well. So they might not take a trainee. So it happened to me as well. Like I applied to few of them. They said like, we are new and we don't want any trainees, and that's fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, so the basic process is you just go to the website, you
Hmm.
just look for the research interest, it aligns with you, approach them through their email, and just be patient with the email replies because they get a lot of emails in a day, and you have to be strategic when you are emailing them. Like I used to email them every Sunday, Monday evening, so it should be here Sunday, Monday morning. So they should just get my first email. So that's how I did it.
That definitely makes sense. And yeah, you're right. And emailing, or like, even if it is like, that's what I usually tell people, like, whenever you have any confusion, email the college, email the professor. That's the best way out. Email the institute. That's the best way out. And yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. You have to be strategic about it. You can't be overtly pushy, like, please, please, please. But you have to also be a little bit humble because you're asking someone to take you as a student. So
Yeah.
there has to be a balance of humility and, mutual respect, and saying, this is what I'll be interested in. I saw these are your research papers. If you would sort of, if you're
Mhm.
accepting a new student, please do consider my resume, or please do, like something like that. And you're right.
Yeah.
You've got to do that a lot of times before something clicks. Right, it's not necessary that it would happen to with everyone, and that's fine. You're right,
Yeah.
because sometimes if it's not a match, it's better not to sort of just have someone for the sake of it. It's
Yeah.
always good to be sort of freely inclined, and that's when you see the passion. Because if they are passionate enough and you're passionate enough, you like those 2 years, because research
Yes.
can be boring
Definitely.
at times.
Yeah.
So you got to have some really good support that would get you through it. So that's phenomenal. Thank you. And I guess many of us don't know how to do that. Trust me, when I completed my bachelor's, I didn't know much about it, and slowly I learned. Just like you start
Yes. It's a
strategizing,
process.
you start talking to people, you start meeting people, and yeah, LinkedIn is a good place
Mhm.
to start connecting with them.
Mhm.
So yeah. So
I
how's
would
your
just like to
yeah?
interrupt you. Like, sorry for that.
That's okay.
Just when you approach a professor, just make sure you are attaching two things. First is your resume, and make it a very good, impressive, I would say, just regarding your academics, so that they know that you are more of an academic person. So they might, look into your profile more. And always try to attach your LinkedIn profiles or something relevant, so which they can go through. I know that none of the professors have that much time to do it. They always interview you in person, but it's a good idea to be more specific and relevant. And second thing you can do is always attach your IELTS scores. That's what I did, because English being a second language, sometimes they might think that they might face some kind of language barriers, and they might not be more into an international student. So if you are attaching it, it makes you more relevant, and
Hmm.
that's a good
That's
idea, I would say.
that's
Yeah.
interesting, because I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that being a barrier, considering the IELTS part. I understand you should attach your resume or your academic sort of qualifications, for a
Yeah.
lack of better word,
Hmm.
uh, academic achievements as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, IELTS. Yeah, you could mention that, you could attach your score, or you could mention that I have this level of fluency in English, so it should, even though it's my second language, that should not be a barrier, and
Yeah.
and that shows your willingness to sort of put everything in, because yeah,
Yes.
people do need to understand, because I've applied for PhD, and I'm pretty much applying for a PhD and a master's is it's the same. You were lucky you got into the master's. I still haven't got into a PhD, so that's a story for a different day. But yeah, you're right, you have to show that willingness. You have to sort of, like, yeah, I went through a lot of colleges and a lot of websites, just going through the professors and the names and the things, and then trying to see what they're doing next, what are their fundings, and that all of that research. Initially when you do it, you're like, why am I doing it? But that helps, because when you formulate that email, it's very personalized. You can always say, I read that research paper specifically, and I think that will correlate very well with what I want to do, and that
Yeah.
shows the amount of commitment as well. And again, in your email also, if you're a little bit eloquent, use Grammarly. I would suggest people to do that. Like, you use like, you got to show, like, an email is the first impression you're sending in, and that is like your make or break. They'll reply, or sometimes not even reply. Most
Hmm.
professors would, but if they are very busy, they might not even reply. So you have to
Yes.
be very sure. So you're right. You might attach your scores. You might.
And one important thing, if you are approaching any professor, make sure you are like, I know you just formulate one email and just copy paste it, but try to change the professor's name, because I made a huge blunder there. I made a mistake in the professor's name, and that's how you end up getting rejected. So please make sure if you're copy pasting, just change the professor's name and their research articles if you're mentioning the link,
Sure.
because it's a huge blunder when it's a different professor from two different universities. Yeah, so
No,
it's a good
that's
thing
true, and
to
that should
check
not.
back.
So yeah, so what I'll usually suggest is have a format ready. Like this is the format you're going to go into, but
Yeah.
change those lines. Like this is what, like, your format stays the same. First paragraph is this, second is this. But if you give each email at least 10 minutes before sending it, it would have a better outcome instead of just doing a mass email to everyone. Like, in
Yeah.
10 minutes you send every possible person. They are also just not going to consider you, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very good thing. Yeah, don't make that mistake. Uh,
It's a
yeah,
personal experience, I would say.
that would be a blunder. That's quite a blunder.
Yeah.
But that happens. Now you're never going to do that. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Now I check it like 3 times before sending it. And uh well, it's not relevant, but I would still say, don't hit reply all every time. It's so annoying when you are seizing someone. Don't reply all. Just reply
No.
to the specific person.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to do that. So thank you. That was helpful. And now tell us about your experience. So you did the application, you got in. How is
Yeah.
the experience of the course so far? How was your beginning, like your first semester, and how are things currently?
Well, it wasn't like bed of roses, to be very specific. The initial part was tough. But now, like, I'm still in the process. Like, I have not completed my master's yet. I'm still in the second year. But yeah, like initially you are not prepared. Like as I said, I had no research background, and students here who are doing their masters from their undergrad, they have some kind of research background, and they know how to look for us like research articles or something, and they know how to do the citations and stuff. I was like a beginner in that stuff, so I took a lot of help from a lot of seniors, and I'm grateful for them. They have been such a great help to me. uh, so yeah, it's really tough when the initial 2 to 3 months, like when you're just starting it. It's a different country, a whole lot of cultural shock aside. But like into the studies, like I'm not trying to differentiate anything, but back home we used to have books and we used to study something. Here we have the research articles. You read the whole article and grab whatever you want. It's up to you, right? So it's a huge difference in the learning method. And having no background in research, you might find some terms difficult. You don't know what they mean. Just every time open Google. So it was frustrating. I cried a lot, but after the first semester, I was like confident enough. Okay, now I'm into it. I have to do it. Like there's no other way. Just go in one direction. But
Yeah.
like I'm enjoying it right now. Initially, yeah, it's difficult, but right now the process is going good. Like I'm in the middle of the research part, but it's going good. I know what to do, when to do, how to do it. So it's just that you just jump into it, and then you get to know the process. It's not like, before entering you might know everything, and now, oh, okay, I'll be able to do it everything. No, it's like at every step, every day you have a new challenge to face in terms of academics, and also the working parts. Yeah.
So definitely, and you're right. You don't really know everything, right? You just learn as you go. As
Yeah.
long as you know a few of the basics. So what I usually tell people is you need to know what you don't know first, like, because initially there's so much that you don't know, so you have to
Yeah.
prioritize these three things I have to know if I have to submit this paper. So
Yeah.
like citations, or even to know how to use Google Scholar, how to use an online library,
Mhm.
how to do the ABA formatting, or how to put in the reference or bibliography at the end of it. These things, we were not like, these are not very difficult things, but if you know these, like, it takes you, like, what, if you focus on it, like, not even a week to understand, but someone has to tell you how to do it, or you have to go on Google or YouTube and learn how to do like the ABA formatting and stuff like that. So it takes a while. So first figure out those basics for your research, or else usually, like, in US we had a student center. So
Oh,
for you, it was your seniors who helped you out. We were not lucky. We didn't have seniors, right? So then, like, seniors would have done what we were specifically trying to do. So we'll go to the student center and they'll help us to sort of do the ABA formatting, or this is how you use a Google Scholar. We didn't know how to use that, right? So things like that, it's fine. As long as you understand that you're not supposed to know everything, you are still learning. There are people who will always, you always find people who are ready to help you out if you are learning. So yeah, you're correct. There's so much to do. In the first 3 to 6 months, I would say, are hard on everyone, no matter what course you are doing. And specifically, it's a master's. If it's, if it's research focus, it's a little bit harder. So I'm glad that, you went through that stage and now you're on the other side and you're almost doing your research part of it. I guess that's more exciting. How was the campus experience? How's your campus? Because I've seen Western University. It's beautiful. How was it for you?
Yeah, so yeah, as you said, the campus is really beautiful, but I didn't get to experience it until maybe second or third semester because I was here in like big pandemic time and everything was online. So I never visited the campus unless and until I had to take my student ID card. So that was the one time I visited the campus. But yeah, it's really good. Like you get to meet a lot of new people from different cultures. You might not get along with everyone, and that's okay. But yeah, it's a good thing to know, and that's like there are a lot of similarities between different cultures, and if you get to know them, you might be able to explore more. And yeah, like people here are loving. Then there's a lot of things for the international students going on, like they have different activities called grad clubs. They have different get-togethers, parties going on, like it's the party hub. It's Western is called the party hub. So yeah.
We used to.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Western is nice, and because I remember we landed here in pandemic as well, like in March, April 2020, right? So it was peak pandemic. Western was empty. The students had already gone back home. So we were so it's a beautiful place. I've seen that. And I even spoke to Nika. I was like, it's such a beautiful university. I want to start studying again because it was such a nice university.
It gives you a gothic experience, the appearance itself.
Exactly, right? So I was like, I want to start studying again. So yeah, it's a good university, and you're right. There's always so much to do on the campus if you are interested in it. And yeah, I usually suggest people be a little bit sort of outgoing, at least for the first 6 months, so that you make friends, you make that social connection, and that would give you a sense of belonging. Because when you are in a different country, getting depressed or feeling homesick would happen. So make friends, talk to people. You're right. There are many people there. People from all over the world come to Western to study. So yeah, that's true. That was good. So you're enjoying it so far?
Yes, I am enjoying it, but I should have taken your advice, like to be outgoing. I didn't move out of my place at all. I just used to go to my workplace back home. But then when I started working on campus, like I used to work on campus for a few jobs, and that's when I started, getting and interacting with people. More of them were like PhD people, and to be honest, they are really helpful and they guide you. To be honest, when I was in the initial part of the studies and it was difficult for me, I should also be grateful for those people who I met on campus while working, because as they were PhD people, they know the amount of stress and the same
they can appreciate your situation.
Exactly. They think that we are sailing the same boat. It's just PhD and you are master.
Yeah, it's the same boat. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So to be honest, like my first assignment, I still remember it was literature review. I had no idea what literature review is.
Yeah.
Now I know it. But at that time, I was so confused. I'm like, what's literature review? I watched a few videos, but it's very convenient and it's very comforting when you talk to someone in person. They try to explain you and you grab it more. That's what I see.
Yeah.
So I always appreciate the in-class experience rather than the online thing.
Sure.
I'm sorry, we are doing it online. I am going against it.
No, it's all again. I understand it. And I guess because when you see someone who's right next to you and doing it, you have more faith. Yes. That's what I feel like. You feel like, okay, if that person can do it, so can I. Or if they are saying it, I'll be able to do it. like you have more faith on the person who's right next to you or instead of a person who's far away from you. So that makes absolute sense. So yeah, literature review, research papers, these things are new terminologies, but then as you said, 2 months down the line you'll know everything by heart and you can do a literature review like 1 hour before your submission and you'll still be
Oh
fine.
my God, yes.
So I know. So what would be your recommendations for someone who's a bachelor's who holds a bachelor's in physiotherapy, now he's planning to come to Canada, and now they are someone who's like, I want to do a master's, I also might want to do a PG diploma. So we have enough detail on PG diploma. What are your recommendations for, like, if they're thinking about a master's, what would you say to them?
To be honest, like I'm not being biased about it, but I would still say, like, if you think you're potential enough, just step into the master's program. Just don't think about the expenses or anything. Like, we are coming up with a series for the
Yeah,
financial part as well. So they will be able to grab it more there. But if I'm talking about the academic part, I would still recommend everyone. Like, to be honest, when you take a research program, you don't have to study all the courses. All you have to do is just 3 courses in 2 years. So you have all the timeline for like 24 months to complete 3 courses at any time. It's not like you have to just complete it in the first sem. You have 24 months, just 3 courses, and your thesis study. So you have a whole lot of time. And when people say that you are doing masters, you are a full-time student, you won't be able to work. Like I would say it's a myth. Like you've got ample amount of time. It's just that you have to basically arrange yourself. You have to plan accordingly. And I would always recommend just plan your schedule every Sunday evening. I know it can be horrifying. I always delay it, but Sunday evening is the best time to plan for your coming week. So you're sort of, uh, in a good place. Okay, I'm doing this on Monday, this on Tuesday, and all along the week, right?
sure.
So, yeah, I would definitely recommend, and it's not tough. The initial 3 or 4 months, to be honest, it's going to be difficult for PG
For
diploma
anything.
students as well, or any course it is, because more of rather than the academics, it's more of a cultural shock with the student experience, I would say, and the searching of jobs, cooking, everything. And that is, I would say it was a major struggle for me.
Sure.
Studies is like once you step in, you are able to do it,
Yeah.
right? So I would definitely recommend a master's course. It's not that tough. The initial 3 or 4 months where you have to like grab a lot of things and lots of information and process it, it's where you require the most patience.
And
But I would,
diligence and organization.
yeah, but it's not uh, tough. It's just that you need to know a lot of things, right? And
That's a good sentence. It's not hard. You just have to do a lot of things. That's how it is.
you just need to know, like it's a lot of information to grab, to be
It is.
honest,
It is.
right? And like to be honest, one important thing which I enjoyed the most about the course is there's no exam.
Hmm.
Either it's an open book exam or either it's an assignment based course. So you
Hmm.
don't have to like worry, in the month of December when the holidays are coming. Oh my God, I have an exam, I have to prepare. Because you can't grab every research article. So it's always assignment based. So you
Hmm.
don't have to freak out. Just do it in parts and you are getting through the course. You don't have to sit for an exam. Okay. And there might be some courses which requires an exam, but it's always a take home exam or it's
Yeah.
always an open book exam. So don't worry about the part, what will I do during the exam time? No, you'll be able to do it.
Hmm.
And the professors are also, good enough. They know, the situation we are going through because they have sailed the same boat quite a few years ago when there was not even Google or anything to help them out. So they do understand your situation and you can always ask for a support. Like this is the one thing about university. You've got a lot of support, whether it's academics, whether it's your mental health, whether it's your job opportunities, you get a lot of support from your university. Even in your health regards, I would say whether it's mental health or physical health, I have not quite a few students taking mental health supports, and it's really good and it's really confidential. Like feel confident enough to approach them and go for a therapy session if you are stressed or anything.
Hmm.
Uh, and the biggest stress reliever, I would say, is always family. Talk to your friends and family, you're good to go. That's what I feel. But that's a personal thing. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend masters. It's not tough. The number of courses are less. and you have got a lot of time to complete it, and you don't have the exams.
So
The
that's
best
great.
part.
And then there are also scholarships that we'll be talking about in the next video. But there are scholarships, and you said it's we'll talk more about it. But
Yes.
that's the
I
part of
I
it.
gave a very controversial statement that I'm paying less than a PG diploma student. I know when I approached you, I made a strong statement about it, but
So
it's like I was
so you got
like,
to prove it in the next video. Like, how are you going to do that? Okay.
I hope I would be able to do it.
You'll be
Yeah.
able to do it. Yeah. So that we'll have to talk about it. Like it has to be a different video altogether. We'll talk more about the scholarships, like how everything works there. But
Yeah.
thank you, Pansri. This was phenomenal. I understand we took a lot of time on your Sunday, but I am pretty sure this is going to be very helpful and very motivating. And even
Hmm.
there are few things that I didn't know about. Like that's why I was going from a different perspective so far. So I'm really glad you changed many things in my perspective. And I'm pretty sure that would give the future sort of potential students an idea that, oh, this is how it is. Like I didn't
Hmm.
know the amount of courses. I didn't know that you have so many scholarships and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I am glad you shared it with us. And I'm sure everyone else is going to appreciate this a lot. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining. And hopefully soon we are going to do the other videos as well.
Yes, I would just say to the people watching the video, just stay tuned. The statement which I said, it's a little bit controversial, but I think I'll be able to prove it, and you'll get to know that a lot of benefits of a master's course. Like
It is.
one of the benefit, no exams, just a limited number of courses, and a new experience doing research. It's like not everyone's doing research. So yeah, I would just say stay connected, and maybe I would be able to help someone who's confused between a PG diploma and a master's course.
You sure will be
Yeah.
helping many to sort of clear their doubts, have more clarity about the subject. So, yeah, thank you so much. And we would be joining in together soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you
Right.
so much. And yeah, thank you for inviting me to share my experience.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Okay, see you then.